would you like to improve your health and keep your family safe? You're listening to the Healthy Home Hacks Podcast, where we firmly believe enjoying optimal health shouldn't be a luxury. Healthy Home Authorities and husband and wife team Ron and Lisa will help you create a home environment that will level up your health. It's time to hear from the experts. Listen in on honest conversations and gain the best tips and advice. If you're ready to dive in and improve your well-being and increase your energy, you're in the right place. All right, here are your hosts, bowel biologists, authors, media darlings, vicarious vegans, and avocado aficionados, Ron and Lisa Barris.
Friends, it is time to stop breathing in harmful biological and chemical contaminants. It's time to take control of your health, breathe better, and sleep more soundly. This episode of Healthy Home Hacks is brought to you by IQ Air, first in air quality. IQ Air is the top air quality technology company and has been around for over 60 years. In fact, they provide the largest global air quality platform. In addition, they're the maker of award-winning medical-grade air filtration solutions that are Swiss-made, high-performance air purifiers with something called Hyper-HEPA filtration technology. This technology removes 99.5% of airborne particles down to 0.003 microns. Guys, that's as microscopic as the smallest virus. Plus, their filters last 38% longer than ordinary filters and are individually tested and certified. In fact, it's the air purifier we personally use and trust. Whether you're looking for a portable air purifier for your home, your office, your car, a whole house filtration system that fits right into your HVAC system, or an air quality monitor for your home, they've got you covered. Visit IQ Air online at www.iqair.com to download their air quality app today and to find the ideal home air purifier for your needs. Oh, and don't forget to head to ronandlisa.com to enter for a chance to win your own IQ air quality air monitors.
Hi, friends, and welcome to today's show. If you've ever watched the show $1 Million Listing, one of Lisa and I's favorite shows, by the way, you'll remember Ryan Serhant from the New York series. He once said, every day you have 1,440 minutes. Minutes are your dollars. Invest your time wisely. We couldn't agree more. And while we usually cover toxins on this podcast, today we're covering everything 2023 housing and prediction trends with a mortgage expert.
Whether you're looking to buy your second home at the beach, a vacation property, or finally get in on that first-time buyer deal, our guest and her team can help. If you're curious about this year's forecast, stay tuned, friends. She'll be covering everything from should you buy, sell, rent, refinance, as well as interest rates, rising rents, and the biggest mistakes for first-time home buyers.
With mortgage rates soaring to the highest they've been in 20 years, Americans are wondering what it means for the housing market and economy, especially now that it's 2023. Financial expert and mortgage advisor Erica Davis, the stylish lender, is here to answer all questions on this topic. So excited.
Erica has been in the industry for 20 years and has dedicated her whole career to making home ownership a reality for everyone. She believes in home ownership as a great way to start building wealth and has taken her expertise to social media, where she's amassed a large following sharing financial tips.
Welcome to the show, Erica. Yes.
Woohoo! Well, thank you guys for having me. It is such an honor to be here and just can't wait.
Oh, thank you. We're so excited. Welcome. And our listeners are going to be so excited about today's show. Like I said before we started, this is the first time we have dived into this very, very important topic. So I can't wait to get started and see what you have to share.
For sure. And so with that being said, let's get started. So can you give our listeners an overview of the 2023 mortgage trends, predictions, and forecasts? Erica, let us know.
In one sentence.
In one sentence.
Right? That is the hardest thing. So obviously we're in a different market and so much has changed from the beginning of 22 to the beginning of 23. Rates have over doubled. In 22 in January, they were, around 3%, and now we're over 6%.
Ooh.
Wow.
So,
In
yes.
12 months too. Can you, right? Roughly 12 months, 13 months?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah. So
But really, the crutch or the indicator of what's driving these interest rates, it's all inflation. So, really, the beginning part of the year, we're really, unfortunately, in unknown territory because we need to see if what the government has put into place is actually going to make a difference with inflation. So, right now, again, we're 6 to 7% interest rate wise. In about 2 to 3 months, we'll see how this inflation is going. If it's coming down, guess what? These interest rates are also going to come down. But if inflation continues to rise, it means that the government needs to put more into place. And that means interest rates are going to continue to rise.
Mm.
So we're in an unknown territory.
So what does that mean? Does that mean more renters and less home buyers?
I cannot stress this enough. Right? You're going to have to pay a housing expense regardless, right?
Yeah.
There's very few of us that do not have a housing expense, that we have an inherited home or good old mom and pop that let us live rent free. So you're going to pay rent and you're going to increase somebody else's wealth.
Yeah.
And guess what? With inflation, guys, the price to rent is continuing to rise and rise. Or you can purchase a home now. Yes, interest rates are a little bit higher than they've been in the past. So you might not be able to afford quite the home that you were looking to do. You might just need to kind of rethink the game plan as far as purchasing in your price range. But you can take that the money that you were using to pay for rent, you're paying it directly to build wealth and to continue to be able to support yourself and make a difference.
I heard some expert, I don't know who it was, recently say, don't worry about interest rates. Buy a house no matter what. You can always refinance when the rates go down. I mean, how do you feel? That's kind of a bold statement. Obviously, you have to stay within your budget, but how do you feel about that?
Absolutely. So right now, there's not a lot of inventory out there. The buyers, they have a better stance. They're in better control. So they have more options. They might be able to get some seller paid closing costs. There's all sorts of things that they can do to help make this a true reality for them. And yes, I always say, you date the rate, you marry the property, right?
You date the rate. I like that. That's right.
Yes. It's not permanent. We can refinance anytime. I'm with Guild Mortgage Company. We offer free refinances to all of our clients that are purchasing within the next few years because we know interest rates are going to come down. Nobody has a crystal ball, but all the predictions are saying that interest rates are going to start to come down closer to the low sixes here shortly, and then even in 2 years back to the fives. So when it makes financial sense and you will save money, by all means, we will cover the cost to refinance from our end. There'll be some other charges, such as with a closing attorney or possibly an appraisal, but it's a very, very minor cost to help save not only monthly, but probably hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of the loan.
Now, Erica, it sounds like you think the Fed is bluffing ultimately, right?
He's just going to come out and say it.
You don't think they're going to try to keep up with inflation? Because I think the rule of thumb is you actually have to match inflation percentage, right? And so obviously even at 6%, we're not even there at 9, 10, or 11 or whatever they're saying it is, right? That's the number that they created.
Right.
I agree with you. I'm not a mortgage expert like you are, but I do think that they might be bluffing and they're not going to push it because at the end of the day, it's going to be hard to hit those levels. Do you foresee a turn happening in Q2? I mean, obviously it's leveled off a little bit with the increase so far. Well, what do you suspect will be the next move?
I really do. I mean, most of the forecasters showing that interest rates should come down realistically into the low sixes in Q2, but we just don't know at this point. And we've seen even the difference within our industry, even the difference between 6% interest rate and 7% interest rate, it really makes a big impact on the housing market and cooling down. The buyers are really, really backing up. And even though it's only 1%, probably on average, the difference between 6 and 7% on a payment, you're talking $150. But I just think it's all the other things that come into play. And it's just, you hear on the news, oh my gosh, we're going into a recession. These rates are going to continue to rise, all these other things. And it just makes them scared instead of broad picture. Hey, I can go ahead and purchase a home. I know this is the absolute highest my payment is going to be. When rates come down, it will go lower, and I'm building wealth. At the end of the day, it's a great opportunity, and people don't need to lose that focus.
So you're saying buy no matter what, even if it's below what you originally wanted. Just get in the game if you're not in it.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I've had several clients too that they were lucky enough they purchased when interest rates were 3%. And now they're wanting to move into another home. Guess what? They can hang on to it and have rental income.
Yeah.
And have another source of income for as long as they want.
Yeah.
So it might not be your forever home.
Yeah.
Can you afford the monthly payment? Mm-hmm. And you're paying yourself to create that wealth. You're not paying a landlord to increase his equity or her equity. You're helping yourself. And again, it can be a rental property down the road, or you can sell it. And chances are you're going to make some pretty good equity off of it.
Nice. Wait, I have a question. I have a personal question because you're with Guild.
Yes.
I don't know how big Guild is, but a good friend of ours is in Sacramento area, Dan Tharp. Do you know him?
I have heard of Dan. Yes, I've met him a few times. We just had our leadership conference, and then we're getting ready to have our awards fun trip in Mexico, our President's Club.
Oh, so congratulations. Hey.
Shout out to Dan. Dan's going to be like, why didn't you have me on? Okay, Dan, you're next.
Sorry, Dan. Next time.
Sorry, Dan. Dan has good stuff to share. No, he's awesome. We love Dan. We've been friends with him for a very long time.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, really great. Okay. Oh, sorry. I interrupted you, Ron.
I lost my train of thought. It's going to come back with, I'm coming back with bulleted questions. There you go.
Okay. Can you share housing market trends happening right now as a whole with our listeners?
Yeah, housing market trends, their homes are still increasing, guys. It's not as rapidly as it was a year, 2 years ago, but it's still increasing. We are not anywhere near back in 2008 when prices started to rapidly decrease. We're not there. It's actually, we're coming back in kind of more of a normal market. And I can't remember right off the top of my head the exact number of people that are still looking for homes, but the housing shortage, it's huge. The demand is still there. And so as long as the demand is still there, you're going to increase your equity.
Right.
Now, Erica, quick question. So you're in South Carolina, right?
I am.
And obviously, South Carolina market, I'm not even sure what it compares to, for example, like New York City or Los Angeles or those places too.
We're in California.
We're in California. Yeah. So I'm thinking California specific because there's a lot of people here that are thinking, well, I'm going to hold tight. Is it different based on your geography? Or they're moving, or they're actually leaving California for better. Yeah. They're moving to South Carolina, right? There you go.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. Yes.
They're leaving in droves. I think we have the state with the highest one-way U-Hauls going out of California. Yeah. There was like...
I thought I heard there was 500,000 residents that left in the last something.
Yeah, it is.
That's a crazy trend.
Sure that's accurate.
So Erica, obviously it's going to be different no matter where you are. You're forecasting this. You said it's going to maintain value. Do you think differently about areas like New York City or Los Angeles because maybe they're way overpriced? I mean, do you have any personal thoughts on that?
I think yes, every area is definitely going to be a little bit different. And we haven't seen values decline. Again, they're not rising as rapidly as they were. So we're still not in a market, thankfully, where homes are starting to depreciate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's interesting to note.
What would you say to someone in California or New York or somewhere with very high-priced real estate who wants to get into the market, but literally, even with going below what they had planned, maybe it's not available, right? Would you say move out of state, move to a place where Texas or Florida, somewhere where they could get inexpensive real estate and just get their toes wet if that's doable? Right.
Every situation is different. And thankfully, one of the good things that happened from COVID, so many people can work remotely. I mean, I have seen a lot of people in California relocate to South Carolina for numerous reasons. So it's definitely worth exploring. And even if maybe they can't move there full time.
Mm-hmm.
But look at if you've got the funds to do a rental property, or maybe go in with a family member or somebody else, more as like a partnership to purchase a home. We're starting to see what we call co-borrowers a lot more to help people to be able to achieve homeownership because prices have increased.
Or even credit rating, right? Would that be true to say? So do you have to live in the same state to do something like that? So if someone wanted to leave California, they want to move to Tennessee, let's say, and they need a co-borrower, how would that work? Do they have to be in the same state to facilitate this transaction? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the nice thing is, you got to think about it from a big perspective. With lending, it's all about risk. So if you have a co-borrower that kind of strengthens where the buyer is weak. So if the buyer is weak in credit and the co-borrower has stronger credit score, it's going to help. Same thing with maybe assets, money for a down payment. The co-borrower might come in and help with assets to show that they have reserves and money for a down payment. Now, occupancy comes into play. So if somebody is looking to purchase a primary home, then that main borrower either has to show that they can work remotely or they're relocating. It has to make sense. The co-borrower doesn't necessarily have to live there full time, but the borrower would, or again, have to work remotely, have to have an explanation for the case. If it's a second home or investment property, you can have two people, two different states. It doesn't matter because you know that they're not going to be residing there full time.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay. So how would you advise that people save for a down payment for their first home?
Yes, I love this because again, with inflation, it's hard these days. Everybody's been to the grocery store, right? I have 2 children. My bill has gone up. I feel like.
Oh, Erica, we used to go there. We don't go there anymore. It's too expensive.
All right.
Where?
Grocery store. I'm joking. The prices are crazy, right? 30, 40% on some items. Nuts.
Yes, but you really have to comb through. What I would do, print out your bank statements for the past 6 months. Really go through with a fine-tooth comb and see realistically what you could alleviate. Me, I'm a coffee lover. I have my $10 cup of Starbucks every morning, and that adds up very quickly. Women, how often do you get your hair done or nails done? You name it. There's some easy things that you can put aside or alter to save that money. Also, people don't realize, guys, you do not have to have 20% to put down. There are so many wonderful first-time homebuyer options. There's a ton with 3% down, and now there's more and more with down payment assistance or 100% financing. You just have to see. You got to rip the Band-Aid off, do a mortgage consultation, and see what your options are.
Are those incentives only for first time, or do they have incentives for non-first time owners?
Yes, most of them are for first time home buyers. However, a first time home buyer means you have not owned a home in the past 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Secret.
It's all over. Reset button.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, too, you can actually take part of your 401k to help for that down payment, right?
Yes, sure. You can do some sort of loan against your 401k. You can borrow from the 401k.
Interest free, right?
Correct. Yes. Every plan is a little bit different, so you have to look in for details, but that is definitely an option. Again, we were talking about the co-borrowers. Hey, mom and dad or someone in the family might also be willing to gift you a down payment, and y'all can make an arrangement, if there's any sort of payback there. But basically, you don't know until you ask, right? Until you explore all your resources and see what it would take and get that game plan together.
And that's a good point you made about the saving. I think too, COVID kind of had people reassess, right? You're at home all the time and you're thinking about things that you weren't before, like we just got a coffee maker. Well, we had a coffee maker, but we just got a nicer coffee maker. And it makes lattes, espressos, and cappuccinos, and it foams the milk for you. Okay. That was like, I'm sold. And it was not that expensive. So the upfront cost, we figured out, Ron, it's going to be paid for in 2 months, right?
Believe it or not, just a couple months. So
just a couple months. Now we're in the profit zone, right? And, we stopped going to Starbucks like years and years ago for health reasons, actually. But yeah, that you're right about that $10. It's not really an exaggeration. If you're getting a venti fancy drink, it's like Target. You can't leave out of there without spending $100. Same with Starbucks.
That's a prime example. And I mean, yesterday I was at the office, didn't pack my lunch. I'll tell myself, did an Uber Eats. It was $30 for a salad. $30.
Yeah, exactly. We do Uber Eats a lot too. We try to cook as much as we can, but you can't cook all the time, right? You've got to order in, and it's crazy, right, Ron? I'm I'm not paying $30 for a salad.
Yes.
Like, that's crazy. Prices, everyone's passing on their inflation prices. So how would someone refinance a home to get out of debt?
I love this. We're seeing this more and more. And guys, if you have debt, don't be ashamed. Like, there's a way out of it, especially if you own your own home. You can take advantage of that equity. Again, because of COVID and other reasons, a lot of people have gotten into financial hardship. And you think about it with credit cards, all day long, it's 20%. And it is so hard to ever get out of that once you're in it.
It's like a cyclical prison. And
yes,
right, we were talking about this. If you didn't have good money, financial education from your family or wherever growing up, you really didn't get it, right? And then you go to college and it's like, hey, sign up here for a credit card. Hey, we've got free credit card. Just you're approved, right? Because you have no credit. So you have perfect credit. So everyone's approving you. And then that's where it starts. I think that's where it starts for most people. And if you don't have that good financial wherewithal, you can start getting into trouble at a really early age, right?
You can. I wish there was more education on that. I mean, especially in today's world, we're always on our phones. So how easy do they make it for us to spend money? Well, like that click of a button or swipe all day long. So I don't care how great of a financial point you're at in life. At least annually, guys, really take the time to go through and see what you're spending money on. Go through your apps. Think about that. How many apps do we have that are on auto renewal that we never use? I have to do that at least once a year. So, I mean, there are numerous.
The monthly, right? Sometimes it's a lot of the little monthly things versus one big payment. It's a lot of little things that add up that you're right, evaluating. And like another example was our water filter. When we first got our home water filtration system, I'm a writer, so I wrote this article's on Yahoo if anyone's interested. And it was how we saved $1,800 our first year just by having the water filter. And then the second year it went up, and then it went up because we were prior buying so much bottled water. And it's not as good for you. It's not good for the planet. And we were wasting so much money. So people always feel that sting of buying something right up front, right? But it only took a year and it started paying itself off, right?
Yeah, we just thought it out. And that's what Eric is saying too. She's like, think bigger and save more money and get a down payment on a new home, right?
We're all spending money in areas that we're not thinking about. And we're not like adding that up.
It's just taking a few minutes out of your day or just being intentional. What do you want out of life? If homeownership is a goal, then make it happen. Put together the plan. So you have some wonderful tips on the water filtration system. I mean, you name it. There's a lot of ways out there. And as far as people that are already in a bad place and they've got that credit card debt, you can do what's called a cash out refinance. And again, thankfully, people that have owned their home, their value has increased. Basically, what you do is we go off of appraised value. So we'll have to get an appraisal on your property. And then again, depending on credit score, if it's your primary residence, investment property, then you can borrow a certain amount of that equity. And even at closing, like we will pay the debt off for you, or you can have that cash back to pay it off on your own. So it depends on how much accountability you need.
Right.
If it were me, I would say, yes, you do it, pay it off at closing.
Yeah.
So you don't even have that temptation.
So that's for somebody that's buying a house for the first time that has a lot of credit card debt.
No, they have an existing home and they're just refinancing, right?
Oh, they're refinancing.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
And so the question though, so when you do get this appraisal, it currently, I know every market's different, South Carolina versus LA and so forth, right? What are some of the appraisal rates now? Are they lower than they were last year? Or are they around the same?
It's about the same. Our average in South Carolina is about $600, but depending on the property, if it's a condo, if it's the...
Oh, yeah. Erica, that was great granular detail. I was actually the market itself, the home values. So across the board, so is the home value itself as much as it was a year ago? Are they a little bit lower?
They might be a little bit lower. I mean, thankfully in our market, property values have really held steady. And if
I see squirrels in your tree behind you.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, you have squirrels. Did you know that?
But yes, so with the appraisals, if people have owned honestly for more than 2 years, they've got a good amount of equity no matter where you live. And depending on how much cash out you need, oftentimes it works. And even if you go up in interest rate, so let's say you're at the low 3%, but you have $50,000 in debt at 20%, it's going to make sense to do a cash out refinance and go up to 6.5. You get the tax write-off, you have one payment, and you get out of that debt.
Erica, that's a great point. You're right. So if someone were to do this 2 years from the time they purchased their home, from 2021, the value obviously is higher. So if you did this last year, that may not be the case. But if you're doing that again, that defeats the purpose of you trying to get out of debt because you got in debt again from last year. So
right.
So it really depends.
You got to learn from your mistakes.
Okay. And then also, in the event home values go down, is it prudent for someone to go out there and get a refi in their home, maybe not collect that line of credit for their home, but do this anyway so they have the opportunity to pull from that line of credit?
So a line of credit, that's a great question. Home equity line of credit is different than a cash out refinance. A line of credit is, think about that almost like a credit card. So you're going to apply, and then whatever you're approved for is there and is available to use at your discretion. And oftentimes the interest rates on those home equity lines of credit, it's not fixed. And depending on the year and regulations, they may or may not be tax deductible. Right now, there's no tax deduction for them. So some people that have a better, we said, a more accountability, and they know they're going to pay it off, to use that equity line of credit, it makes sense. Like if they're like, oh, I need to do a quick renovation or pay off this debt, but I know I'm getting a tax refund next year and I can pay it off, all good. That's the way to do it. But if you, again, are in hardship and that debt is just too much, you can never pay it off, a cash out refinance, you are basically redoing the entire loan and increasing the amount owed. So let's say you owe $100,000, you've got $50,000 in debt. The new loan amount would be $150,000 current interest rates, but it would be locked in. And then they can get the cash back at closing to do whatever they need. Or again, we can pay off that debt for them.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Learning so much.
I know.
I am not the numbers girl like you, Erica. I usually cringe around the sound of numbers.
It's not exciting all the time, but hey, when you can save money, it does get exciting.
Yeah, that's right. So for someone listening who is experiencing their rent rising, what should they do? We talked about some little tricks, but how else can they save to buy a house eventually if they're in that situation?
Yes. I mean, definitely in my area, the cost to rent, it has gone up tremendously. And a lot of it, lack of inventory. I personally closed on a new home this week. I have to do some renovations, and me trying to find a rental, especially short term, was near impossible. Guess what? I am paying a lot of rent.
Oh, so you're in a rental now.
I am in a rental now until I can permanently move into my home. And I hate to do it. But again, I know this is short term. It's 3 months. This makes more financial sense than purchasing yet another home.
And you were fine with the interest rates. You bought your house right now.
Absolutely, I did, because I'm dating that interest rate and I'm marrying my house. That's why I'm renovating it.
Does your husband know?
Yeah. But yes, basically, you don't have control on a rent. Yes, you sign an agreement, but it's for whatever amount of times on that agreement. So it could be 3 months like me. It could be as long as a year. But after that time is over, there is no guarantee.
Right.
If you purchase and you save that money and do what it takes, it is a guarantee. So, again, even at 6-7%, this is what I can comfortably afford. And I know it's not going to change versus renting. So unfortunately, you can try to barter renting, but again, that's not in your control.
Yeah, right. I don't know if you're a first-time homeowner or not, but can you get an extra special rate, did you say, as a first-time homeowner?
Yes. I'm not a first-time home buyer, and I'm glad because, again, it's helped me. It's helped me progress and be able to do this renovation that I'm doing. But first-time home buyers, there are so many different incentives, closing cost incentives, help with the down payment. There's different charities and states, counties that see that this is a need, and they're coming in to offer different types of programs and opportunities for people. So, I mean, there is a slew of options out there. You really just need to do some research and do your homework with the lender because it's the biggest purchase you will ever make.
Yeah.
You need some hand help holding with this.
Right.
Erica, quick questions too. So what are some of the benefits of buying and selling right now? So let's just say I've owned my home for 2 years. That's the magical point, right? You've been a primary home resident 2 years, right?
2 years.
What would be the advantage of me selling that home and buying a new one?
Well, I'll give me as a prime example. So my home was not even listed. I was not intentionally moving, but because of lack of demand, I was approached by there was a couple people I was offered to do a house trade with somebody in the neighborhood.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. And then, yes, I had somebody that they literally have been looking for a home for 2 years, has not been able to find the perfect one. This worked. So for me, listen, if it made financial sense, which it did, I'm all for it. And thankfully, having the equity that I built out of that home, I was able to purchase, get this, the home I grew up in that my parents built.
Wow.
And I have the means to renovate it and to do the renovation portion cash.
Wow.
I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I didn't get into home ownership when I did. So I'm definitely grateful. And I say all that, there's definitely benefits to both the buyer and the seller. Sellers, again, lack of inventory. So if you need to sell, if you need to get out of debt or you got another job opportunity, a divorce, you name it, you're in a good position. And buyers, there's not as much to choose from. But again, how else are you going to be able to build wealth in a place that you create memories that you get to physically enjoy? You don't get to enjoy your stocks, right?
Yeah.
You don't get to wake up and have that.
Yeah, sometimes not. No.
Yeah. Oprah had a quote about that. Oprah said, you don't get to live in your stocks.
That's true.
Right. That's right.
They're not tangible until they're tangible. I know that's not true, but I always feel that way. Like, gosh, you can't hold it until you cash it out. So that always, where's your house? Like you said, you can make it yours, make the memories there.
Well, Erica, the one thing I wanted to ask for our listeners was, so let's say they had a primary house residence and they're like, wow, I developed all this equity in my home. It was X amount and I'm going to buy a new home. Oh, I'm going to be taxed on this. I mean, some people don't know this. Especially those who are first-time home buyers. What is that magical number? So if you purchase a home and you live there for 2 years and equity is built in your home, you're not taxed on that extra portion when you sell it. What is that number?
Well, and this could be, I do not know for sure. Ask your CPA.
Okay.
In our area, I believe that if you profit more than $500,000, then you're taxed on whatever the overage is.
Okay.
Now, there's also another like tax shelters, if you will. If you purchase a home and then basically you sell it to purchase another investment property, has to be investment, you can do what's called a 1031 exchange and you do not pay tax.
Yeah, that's what I think you're thinking of, Ron.
Okay, so there are some of us here, some of us might be jumping the gun, right? So some of us are a first-time home buyer, right? We're purchasing this home, but our real goal is to have multiple properties, rent out these properties. There's something that you were telling us before the show that they can do to capitalize on not having capital gains on their purchase of these investment properties. Can you elaborate on that, Erica?
Yes, there's a really, really great opportunity. It's called a 1031 exchange. And so it's particularly for people with investment properties. So again, you got to buy that first home, right?
Okay.
You got to get that primary residence, get the equity, and then it can lead to these new opportunities. But if you are selling a investment property and you're purchasing another, you do not have to pay taxes when you purchase, like basically to transfer the equity from one home to the other.
Oh, wow. That's big.
So it's pretty cool. So think about it. It's a way to continually progress. So you might start out with an investment property condo, $300,000, and then you make $50,000. Then you can buy a townhome with a better view, go up to the single family. It's just such a great way to compound savings and that wealth.
And what was the timestamp and what period can you do that?
With the 1031, there are limitations, and I can't remember exactly. It might be 180 days or 120. We need to find that out. But there's a set period of time that you have to identify, to go under contract on a new property, and then to close, to take advantage of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Wow. So hopefully your lender is smart like Erica and has all of this information.
And she can help you build your empire.
Advise you.
Yeah.
That's right. Build the empire. I love that.
Build it. So final thought. So leave our listeners with a few first-time home buyer.
Oh, wait, one more question. What does buying down your interest rate mean for your monthly payment?
Yes. Okay. So I have two opinions on this, and I'm glad you asked. Buying down interest rate. Basically, what you're doing is paying additional money at closing to lower your interest rate. And typically, I'll give you an example. So let's say we're at 6% and you're going to buy 1 point. 1 point is equal to 1% of the loan amount, and it will change your rate by, on average, a 1/4 point. In my opinion, it has to make financial sense. And you talk about that break-even point that you were discussing on the water filtration system. That's exactly the same thing with buy downs. So you need to take your costs and your savings and see when your break-even point is.
Oh, gotcha.
To see if it makes financial sense. Now, if you have free money, if the builder is giving you $10,000 in closing costs, by all means, use it to purchase to get the lower interest rate.
Oh, good point.
But if you are paying for it, let's take a deeper dive to see. And again, if you're paying for it, we offer free refinances. So chances are I'm not going to recommend for you to spend that additional money.
Gotcha.
That's a great point. Because you do offer that. Do you offer it twice? What if it drastically changes, it goes down? Is there a double refinance opportunity, or is it just a one-time?
Well, you do have to hold on to the mortgage for a certain period of time.
That's fair. You have to make money too. We understand here.
That's right. We can't believe
I know, I'm like waiting for you to do the last question. Okay, here we go.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought I did already. Sorry. One final question. Leave our listeners with a few first-time homebuyer mistakes to avoid. The pitfalls. Give us the dirt, Erica.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. Number 1, do not change your job during the process. And when I say process, when you get pre-approved, the process starts. So if you're on a salary and then you get this great opportunity to make all this commission, guess what? We can't use it. You are not qualified because you don't have a history of it. You have no clue what you're really going to make.
Wow.
I see that a lot of times. Number 2, large deposits. For whatever reason, some people just have a ton of cash on hand. They might be a waiter, waitress, I don't know, and just stuff those funds away and then deposit them. We can't trace those, and that's called a large deposit. So we cannot use those.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
So you can't count that. You can't count that as income. Yeah. Well, for good reasons. That could be suspicious too.
That's right.
What's the amount? What if someone had just $5,000 they wanted? Can't even count that either.
Just $5,000. So listen to your question. If you have $500 in your account and deposited $5,000, it would be a big red flag.
Yeah, they need to know where that money came
Yeah.
from.
Oh,
So
okay.
If you have $100,000 in your account and deposit $5,000, it's probably not that big of a deal, but it depends on your individual situation. So no large cash deposits.
Okay.
No
No
change.
trips south of the border.
That's right. Do not change your employment and Do not open up new credit card debt. I have had lots of clients, they get sold, oh, I'm going to buy all this furniture and I'm going to save 20% by opening up this credit card. Well, guess what? Now we got to count that debt against you. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
And probably hurt the credit score in the process, right?
Yes. Yeah, and definitely make your payments on time too while you're in the process. So
Yeah.
You've got to follow the plan. That's for
Right.
Well, thank you for those tips. We're going to avoid that for sure.
That was good information. Guys, I hope you guys learned so much. I know I did. Thank you, Erica. This was great.
Thank you. Yes, I so appreciate it.
And friends, over the years, Erica and her team have helped hundreds of people to achieve their dream of home ownership. They take their motto to heart: your loan, on time, every time. Learn more at thestylishlender.com, and I'll put that link in the show notes.
That's an excellent point. And we'll have all the links in the show notes at ronalisa.com/podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode. Get ready to up-level your health and take control of your wealth. See you then. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye,
Erica.
This episode of the Healthy Home Hacks podcast has ended, but be sure to subscribe for more healthy living strategies and tactics to help you create the healthy home you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.